Gotcha.
I would disagree with that.
I remember what I said there.
In real time, Kobe had 3 rings. Y'all wasn't treating him like a 3-ring player. You was treating him like a sidekick. He was considered a sidekick. He was considered a Robin. He was considered the next Pippen. In 2002, with 3 rings, we were still comparing who was better in the league. You couldn't convince the
Lakers to a championship. Like, I've never had the opportunity.
Correct.
I felt like if I was put in that position to win a championship, I damn sure would show up and do what I do.
A lot of people don't know that in that last finals that they won, Kobe didn't play well. Kobe didn't shoot the ball well. Actually, everybody thought Pau Gasol should have been MVP. That's how well Pau was playing, and Kobe was playing awful. But you never could tell when you turned the TV on that he was struggling, because his leadership is always there. His intensity is always, that fire is always there. So because he's 8 for 24 from the field or something like that, you could never tell with a player like Kobe.
You think that Kobe Bryant is anywhere between 7 and 11?
Where do you have him?
I got him at 11. That's why I have him.
A what?
Yes, I have him outside the top 10. Yes.
11.
James,
Keep
Jordan,
going.
Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. Those are the 10 guys that I had of him. With that being said, now,
What the hell?
Hey man, say man. This is the A-Man Show, back at it again for more content. Alright man, I've been waiting to make this video on the recent disrespect to Kobe Bryant, because ever since this man has passed away like half a decade ago, I have seen so many people, including former players, slander Kobe Bryant's legacy and how he's quote-unquote carried by Shaq over their three-peat, how he's inefficient, not that great of a defender. If any other superstar played with Shaq, like what Tracy McGrady said in First Take, he could have won multiple titles, how he's compared to Pippen, and I'm getting tired of this Kobe Bryant slander all over NBA discourse, because recency bias is at its highest it's ever been. And I feel like I need to re-educate y'all on how great Kobe Bryant truly was and why he is without a doubt a top 10 player in league history. So let's go back all the way to 96, one of, if not the greatest draft class in NBA history. Bryant was picked 13th overall, the youngest player in NBA history, and was depicted as the guy with extremely high upside along with the extremely great work ethic to pair alongside it. Jerry West truly believes that he was one of the greatest players he had ever seen before lacing up to the NBA. And he was so spot on, as in Kobe's second year, he became the youngest All-Star in NBA history and was second and sixth man of the year by averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on solid efficiency. Then in his fourth year in the NBA is where he truly blossomed as a star in 2000, where he averaged 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 46, 30, and 85 splits, was an All-Star, was second team All-NBA, and first team All-Defense for the first time ever. This is the same year that Shaq had a near unanimous MVP season and the Lakers won 67 games in 2000. And this postseason is where you can see that Kobe Bryant was Shaq's sidekick, especially in the 2000s finals, where he had a rough finals performance, averaged just 15 points but on terrible shooting splits. But in game 4 is where Kobe will have one of the most iconic performances of his career, scoring 12 straight points in the fourth in OT after Shaq got fouled out. The guy single-handedly willed this team to Augusta Game 4 win to take a commanding 3-1 lead against Indiana. Now, going back to what Gilbert Arenas said in First Take, he claimed how, we always seen Kobe as a sidekick while with Shaq, and he was more of a Pippen. This 2000 season in the finals is where you can make that claim. Shaq was undisputedly the best player throughout the playoffs and in the finals, but at least Kobe Bryant showed up in the biggest moments in the finals, where he put his team on his back in the fourth quarter / OT, and that led the Lakers to go 3-1 in the finals. And then were for Kobe's performance in that period, then the Lakers would have possibly lost the whole series. That's something that Tracy McGrady never did under pressure, in which I'm going to discuss more later in this video. Aside from 2000, Arenas was just dead wrong about Kobe being compared to Pippen in the next 2 championship runs, where this man was a top 3 player in the NBA. From 01 to 02 in the regular season, Kobe averaged 27 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and had a 55% true shooting percentage. And in the postseason in those 2 years, even though Shaq won 2 more finals MVPs, there was a legit argument that Kobe Bryant looked as good, if not better, than Shaq was in those postseasons at times. Especially in the 01 playoffs, where they had the most dominant playoff run in NBA history, going 15-1. Kobe in the Western Conference semis and in the conference finals The guy was outplaying Shaq outright. In the semis, Bryant averaged 35, 9, and 4 on 47% shooting and 86% from the charity stripe. And in the conference finals, the dude averaged 33, 7, and 7 and shot 51% from the field, 35% from 3, and 77% from the charity stripe. And he did this against the Spurs of all people. During those two playoff series, he was in the discussion of the best player in the NBA and was compared to MJ. And with his performances, the Lakers swept everybody yet again, something that Tracy McGrady never did in his playoff career. Although in the finals, Shaq was the best player in that series, but Kobe throughout that postseason was putting up MVP level stats of 29 points per game. He grabbed 7 rebounds and 6 assists, shot 47% from the field, 32% from 3, and 82% from the charity stripe. There is a reason why Kobe was compared to MJ, because of the performances in the playoffs, specifically in the semis and in the conference finals, where he looked like the best player on the floor, let alone the best player in the league at 22. In 02, Shaq was all around the best player in both the regular season and in the playoffs, but Kobe was not far off from him whatsoever. Kobe in that season averaged 25, 6, and 6 on above the league average efficiency, and in the playoffs, the guy was averaging 26, 6, and 5 on 43, 38, and 76 splits. Yet again, the guy was putting up MVP level stats and was 1B to Shaq's 1A, and because of his superstar production, the Lakers went on and three-peated. So 2 of the 3 championships, Kobe Bryant was not only the co-superstar, not a sidekick, but the guy was one of the sole reasons why the Lakers were a dynasty in the early 2000s. He was both a dominant scorer and was a top perimeter defender in the league, as the guy made it to 3 straight all-defensive selections. Every time in the playoffs, the guy was the best player on the court outside of Shaq. This dispels every one of McGrady's takes of him winning a championship if he played with Shaq. I made a video on McGrady a really while back, in which, if y'all want to, here's the link in the top corner. It's one of my older videos, and I specifically stated how Tracy McGrady never made it out of the first round, and multiple times where this guy had chances to advance but continuously failed and choked under pressure. Although Grant Hill was injured during the time of McGrady's prime and didn't have that adequate of a roster around McGrady, but still, this is the same guy who was up 3-1 against the first-seeded Pistons, blew it while averaging 26 points on 39% shooting. McGrady also got outplayed by Baron Davis, and while at Houston, where he had Yao Ming and a competent roster around him, he blew a 2-0 lead against Dallas and had a horrific Game 7 performance, might I add. He shot horribly from the field in that game, despite scoring 27 points in the largest Game 7 loss in playoff history. He lost to the Jazz despite leading 3-2, shot 39% from the field in Game 6, and shot poorly again in Game 7. It lost to the Jazz again in the first round the very next year, despite not having Yao Ming. Tracy McGrady has proven time and time again that this guy is a choker, and I don't even think that Shaq wins a title with McGrady if he can't even make it out of the first round with Yao Ming. Now, going back to Kobe, during the early 2000s, there was a debate between who was the better shooting guard, McGrady or Bryant. And time in again, Kobe not only risen up to the pressure, but just flat out was better than McGrady in those seasons. Now, in the 03 to 04 seasons for Kobe Bryant, he is now starting to look like not only the best player on the Lakers, but the undisputed best guard in the league, and overall the second best player in the league during that time behind Tim Duncan. Kobe Bryant in 03 was top 3 in MVP voting, was first team all NBA, and was first team all defense, including that 40-point streak where he scored 40 or more points 9 consecutive times, making him the first since 86 Jordan, including 4 50-point games in which it's never been done since Wilt, while doing it efficiently, by the way, during the time where Shaq was out for a significant time. This guy, during that time, was the most dominant pure scorer in the NBA, and he did this on 53% true shooting, which is league average despite playing in a tougher scoring and defensive era and taking tougher looks to the basket. And in 04, he was now the primary scorer on this team. Unfortunately, the Lakers in those 2 seasons will fail to win another championship, including getting upset by the Pistons in 04, which led to Shaq and Kobe breaking up. Now, looking at Kobe's production during the three-peat, he has proven he is the greatest second option in NBA history. And yes, better than Steph and, of course, Pippen. This is a guy who has redefined the second option by his elite two-way play, his ability to rise up to the occasion under pressure consistently, and his ability to take over games and close at them. And no one does it better than Kobe. And with his scoring prowess, he was an all-defensive player throughout the three-peat and always defended the best player on the team while averaging MVP level numbers, something that Curry nor Pippen was as the second option on a championship team. No other second option in history can be a dominant scorer while being an elite defender at the same time than Kobe. And that's why Shaq being this dominant and Kobe being this great as a second option is the reason why the Lakers were able to three-peat. Now I want to go into this stretch from 2006 all the way to 2010 because that period is where he is considered a top 10 player of all time objectively. Starting off his 06 season where he was at the absolute peak of his powers, averaged 35 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 45% from the field, 35% from 3, and 85% from the free throw line, which combines to a 56% true shooting. This is not only one of the best scoring seasons of all time, but is one of the greatest overall offensive seasons of all time, given how he has a plus 8.3 offensive plus minus, which is the highest in the league. And what's crazier is that he did this in one of the slowest and lowest efficiency era in NBA history. Teams during that time averaged 97 points per game. There were fewer threes taken, which means less spacing, clock lengths, and defense was at its best during that time. And Kobe was still averaging crazy numbers on great efficiency. 60% of his shots were unassisted, meaning he was consistently making tough shots pretty much the majority of the time, facing double teams, hell, even triple teams at times. It got to the point that Kobe was literally outscoring teams by himself. For example, in December of 2005 against the Mavericks, Kobe in 3 quarters scored 62 points. No one has ever done what Kobe did in a month since then, not Wilt, not Jordan, no. Kobe scored 62 points in 3 quarters while the Mavericks scored 61. Throughout the month of January of 06, this man averaged 43 points per game on great efficiency. Kobe had an all-time great regular season while dragging a team with Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, Chris Mim, and Samaki Walker to the 7th seed in the toughest Western Conference ever, and took the 2nd-seeded Suns team with an MVP Steve Nash to 7 games and at one point at a commanding 3-1 lead. And by the way, Kobe still managed to make first team all defense while carrying the heaviest offensive load in the league, which puts him alongside MJ as the only players who averaged 35 points per game while making first team all defense. And then we look at the rest of the years. Kobe made all defense first team 3 more times, and in 07 he would continue to average these historic numbers while carrying bummy rosters to the playoffs in the tough West. Then in 08 Kobe became more well-rounded and matured offensively, had one of the most efficient seasons of his career, averaging 28, 6, and 5 on 43, 46, 35, 84 shooting splits, and was near the top of the West, and in the mid-season trade for Pau Gasol put them into championship contention, but not as the favorites to make it out of the West because of Bynum's knee injury that will keep him out of the remainder of the 08 season. Despite this, Kobe will win his first and only MVP and was named first team All-NBA in defense, making him the 3rd player since Jordan, and he came to win MVP while making first team All-NBA and All Defense. Even with Pau Gasol, the Lakers were banged up, and still Kobe continued to will his team all the way to the NBA Finals with averages of 30 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 48% shooting. And the guy averaged these numbers while facing 3 top 11 defenses in the NBA, including the defending champion Spurs, who had a top 3 defense in the NBA. Unfortunately, that magic will end against an all-time great Celtics team, but it was clear that Kobe Bryant was the best player in the league and will continue to do so in the next 2 seasons, where he will go back-to-back in 09 and 010, had MVP-level stats once again, and in the playoffs, he will have his greatest all-around playoff run of his career, leading to the playoffs in scoring while on 46% shooting. He did this against all 4 teams that were ranked top 10 defensively. He rendered Rice's defense, outdueled a prime Melo, and he played through multiple finger injuries that could affect his shooting touch. And in the next season, had another MVP level season and leads the Lakers to the 1st seed once again, and in the playoffs faced 3 top 10 level defenses and averaged 29, 6 assists, shot 46% from the field, 37% from 3, and 85% from the free throw line. He again led the entire playoffs in scoring while doing it really efficiently against 3 top 10 defenses. And going on to Wade's take on why Pau Gasol should have been Finals MVP, Kobe led this series in points, tied with KG in rebounds, leads in steals, and free throw percentage. Kobe undoubtedly was the best player on the floor, rightfully deserves Finals MVP. And because D-Wade's stance of thinking, oh, Kobe did not shoot that well in Game 7, in which Game 7, no one shoots well in Game 7s, therefore Pau Gasol deserves Finals MVP, is just dumb. Fun fact, D-Wade was in attendance of Game 6 of that year's Finals, and because of Kobe Bryant's performance in the game, he would have logically thought there was no doubt that Kobe was the Finals MVP. But now all of a sudden he wants to switch his stance and say, oh, Pau Gasol would have won Finals MVP. Like, get the fuck out of here. But anyways, guys, I don't think I have to rabble so much on Kobe Bryant's career after 2010 much longer because I think y'all got my point across. Kobe Bryant is undeniably a top 10 player ever. This is a man who has been elite at both ends of the court for nearly 2 decades, not just an all-time great efficient volume scorer, but a lockdown defender who made 9 first-team All-Defense. He has the most wins against 50-win teams in the playoffs with 25. He won 5 championships with 2 back-to-back Finals MVPs. He is the greatest second option in history, and in his second half of his career from 06 to 10, he was the best player in the league without a doubt. He competed in a tougher scoring and defensive era, most particularly in the second half of his career, where he played in the toughest Western Conference in NBA history, including facing the toughest defenses any modern star has ever faced. He not only had all-time individual seasons while having the best footwork and skill we've ever seen, but made it to 3 straight Finals appearances and went back-to-back. His clutch gene, insane playoff performances, overall ability to rise up to the pressure consistently is what makes him the closest player to an MJ, and that is why we need to put more respect to Kobe Bryant. So that's the video. Let me know your thoughts on this long video I've made. Is the Kobe slander getting out of hand? Like I said, let me know, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications, and that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show, signing out.